Good evening, my friends of Power, the wonderful Power community, and so many of our guests who are showing up to hear about our story for the first time tonight. My name is Jonathan Budd, and before I get started, Beth, can you just verify that it is in fact showing the right screen, the full slides of Disrupt and Decentralize before I keep going?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you so much, Beth. The wonderful Beth, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what we would do without her. Um, so everyone, thank you so much for being here tonight. My name is Jonathan Budd. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Power. And please forgive us this evening. This is the first time we're ever sharing this message, this story that we've been cooking up for the last couple weeks. So if there's any hiccups or this or that, we look forward to getting your feedback. Right now, we are in Power's beta time period. We'll be discussing more about what that means later on in the presentation. But this is a very unique time period for you to actually be involved in Power and hearing the Power story. There will never be another time period like beta. This is really the time where we are, for the first time ever, showing the world what we've been working on the last 22 months. And what I'm absolutely convinced of is that the deeper we get into this story, the more it blows my mind how deep this rabbit hole goes and how big what we are all working on and what you're being invited to work on tonight with us, how big this actually is. So a lot of that is going to be unveiled to you as we get into the story tonight. Without further ado, though, we have a guest on the line. We have somebody who has been a friend of mine for years, first and foremost, but also a mentor, a strategic advisor to Power, an investor in Power, a partner in Power, somebody who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and in the last few weeks has played a huge role in creating this message and shaping this message and the story that we'll be sharing with you tonight. And that is Mr. Jim Bunch. And Jim is, like I said, a great friend and also an extraordinary entrepreneur. For the last 20 years, he has led at the highest level of the transformational and life coaching industry, working alongside people like Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield and Bob Proctor and so many of the legends that have led our world. And he's also been an amazing entrepreneur. You know, as one of the founding team members of Bamboo.com, which brought virtual tours to market the late 90s. They grew that company from 6 people to over 1,500 people in less than 18 months and went public for over $2 billion. So Jim is just an all-around amazing human being, and we're lucky to have him on the line. So Jim, thank you so much for joining us tonight to share the story with everybody.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's my pleasure to be here, and I look forward to connecting with all of your power people here as they really are shifting the planet. And, of course, the message we have tonight, I think, is going to open some minds and open some eyes to really the opportunity for all 7 billion people on the planet. So thank you for the invitation.
Hey, my friend, we are on the same page. So without further ado, let's dive right in, everyone. Now, you'll notice we have 2 definitions up here that came straight from Webster. So to disrupt means disorder, destroy temporarily, break apart, or our favorite, radically change. To decentralize means to distribute, disperse, transfer authority from central to local. And what we want to suggest to everyone tonight is that these 2 trends are global macro trends that are actually bigger than any one industry, any one government, that this is sort of a context for something, a trend that's happening on planet Earth right now, where we are literally seeing the decentralization of power, power transferring from central authorities to local authorities at a scale that the world has never seen before, and that this promises to change all of our lives and the planet, and as you'll see tonight, allow you to create an enormous amount of income and impact. So keep that context, because as we go through tonight, I think you're going to see more and more and more that we are truly at the forefront of a global mega trend of epic proportions. It is disrupt and decentralize. And we've got 3 stories that we want to share with you. Before we jump into some of the content tonight, we want to show you 3 examples that this is happening right now at the biggest level I think people could have imagined, and faster than people could have imagined, and it's happening right in front of our own eyes, but we don't always see it. We don't always really grasp just what this means. So I want to jump into that with you all tonight. And Jim, maybe you could take the lead on the first one for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the things that I've been fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time and hear the right messages. Jonathan mentioned you're going to get to see kind of behind the scenes of something that's already happening, but this might make it a little more clear. And these 3 major industries that have been disrupted and decentralized, I think when we point them out to you, it's going to go, wow, that was really obvious. But you know, the entrepreneurs of the future, they see the trends before it's too late. It's kind of like surfing. If you paddle too soon on a wave, the wave will smash you. If you wait too late, the wave's already gone. So we're going to share with you not only those 3 industries, but a 4th industry, which we think is the biggest one of all. So let's talk about media first. This is one of the major industries that's actually gone through a massive transformation. And if you think about how consumers, people like you and me and, you know, over the last 10, 20, 30 years, how did we get our information? Well, in the early days, it was through print, right? You would pick up a newspaper or a magazine. Then it became radio. Then it became TV. And in that model, it was really centralized information being pushed down to us as the consumers. So if you're a corporation or you're a politician or whatever, you wanted to get your message out, you drove it through those channels, right, of print, radio, and TV. And the major networks controlled the information that we had. Well, all of a sudden, that changes when the internet comes along and email comes along, and next thing you know, we've got quote-unquote social media. And for the first time in history, we weren't just media consumers, we were actually media creators. So we not only got information from the internet, we were able to post and share and host information. And what that did was that changed the game. It disrupted and in some cases decentralized the way that media is created and then shared. So this is a major thing. If you take a look, for example, at a couple of the videos that most of you have probably seen, you know, Gangnam Style was a YouTube video with over 1 billion views. The Coney 2012 video, 90 million views, and that equates to about $600 million of earned media. So when you look behind the scenes, technology and social media allowed you and I as consumers to also become creators through these platforms like Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. And while we've just kind of grown into this, this is actually a major piece for us to understand. So that's the first industry, and all of us have participated in that in some way, shape, or form who are on this webinar, because right now we're actually creating and consuming content as we speak. So Jonathan, why don't we hit the second big trend or industry?
Yeah, and the other thing that's remarkable about this, Jim, is that it ties directly into the other industries that are being decentralized. Because we've decentralized media, because anybody can now create media and share a message and get the word out about something, it's led to this explosion of all sorts of other platforms. It's led to this explosion of all sorts of other opportunities that now can spread lightning fast because the whole world is globally interconnected and everyone can create and share media. The next space that we want to talk about, and a lot of you have probably used this service, maybe some of you haven't heard of this service, but if you haven't, you will very soon, and it's Airbnb. And this is a crazy, crazy story, okay? In 2007, there were 3 guys who were sitting in their apartment in San Francisco who were so broke that they couldn't pay their rent. And there was this giant conference that was happening in San Francisco that weekend, and these guys get the crazy idea to basically buy 3 air mattresses and rent out air mattresses in their apartment for $80 a night. But they didn't want to do it on Craigslist because they felt like Craigslist was too impersonal, so they created a website that basically advertised these 3 air mattresses that you could buy for $80 a night if you were coming into town for this conference in their apartment, and they made some money. They rented out all the air mattresses. Well, after the conference was over, people started emailing them saying, hey, is this going to be available in Japan? Is this going to be available in Buenos Aires or London? And if you fast forward 8 years later, that company is now the largest hotel in the world. They're worth $25.5 billion. In fact, they just raised another $800 million at a $25 billion valuation. And the name of that company is Airbnb. And what Airbnb has done that is so revolutionary, so game-breaking, game-changing, that's made them the most valuable hotel in the world, is that they've made it so that anyone can be a hotel. Absolutely anybody can sign up to Airbnb's platform. And if you have room in your house or a space or, you know, an extra cottage or whatever it may be, you can essentially list it and be your own hotel, and their technology platform handles everything. They find the people, they connect them with you, they rent it out, they handle the transactions. You basically don't have to do anything except sign up and say, yeah, I want to make some money by being my own hotel with this room or whatever it is. And in less than 8 years, that's become the most valuable hotel in the world. There is no other company in the world that does more listings and more rooms than Airbnb now. And that's just one example of how technology is starting to decentralize these giant old industries that used to, you know, for decades and decades and decades commanded all the power, and all of a sudden 3 guys out of their apartment that they couldn't even pay rent for, you know, decentralized the hospitality industry. So, Jim, you know, you had an amazing story with Uber, which is the next example that we want to get into. And a lot of you guys have probably seen Uber too, but maybe you haven't recognized or realized just what this means, just how significant these technology platforms are that are starting to change the face of business and what it means as we start to go into different industries. And Jim, you had an amazing story that'd be awesome if you shared about your Uber experience that really ties a lot of this in.
Absolutely, and this is the reason we chose this as one of the disrupt and decentralizes, because of a couple of things. Number one, this is probably one of the simplest and easiest apps that I've ever used. You literally just press a button and all of a sudden in the palm of your hand you can see a car from wherever it is driving towards you. So you can see if they're taking a wrong turn. You can actually call the driver and say, hey, you're going the wrong direction, but you know, it's using geolocation of where you are, where they are. You can see how long it's going to take for them to get there. You can see how much it's going to cost you to get to your destination. You don't have to worry about tipping or any of this. So the first time that I used it, I thought, well, I wonder why this person is pulling up in this really nice Acura Legend and taking us on this ride, you know, up to the restaurant. So I just asked him, I said, so why did you start driving with Uber? And he said, well, he goes, we lost a friend of ours to drunk driving. And so me and my buddies got together and decided that we were going to drive on weekends and we were going to donate all of the money to the family of our best friend who we lost to a drunk driver. And it got me to thinking about how powerful this technology is to transform lives. I mean, obviously, you know, we were going out to have a nice dinner, have drinks. We didn't want to be on the road as a drunk driver, but here's somebody who actually turned it into an opportunity to help somebody else not only stay off the roads of being drunk, but help a family who had lost somebody. And when I look at these kinds of platforms, I'm always blown away at the impact that happens from this kind of technology. Some people look at it and go, oh, well, yeah, it's really simple, it's easy, it's cool, it's free, it's all that. That's all fantastic. But when you see the effect, what's called the processional effect, of how things ripple through, that's really what's important here. So I think, Jonathan, you might have had something you want to add to the Uber, but I love when there's a cause to these things. I love when there's a purpose behind it, greater than, you know, just disrupting an industry, but it actually changes the way that people do life.
And I think it definitely just shows the opportunity that now exists because of these platforms. You know, the fact that, you know, here's a guy who, he's not going to be a taxi driver. He can't leave his job or go do this to drive taxis because he wants to give back for, you know, the loss of his friend and to the family. But all of a sudden, because of this mega trend of decentralization and technology platforms, he can donate some of his time on a weekend to drive for Uber. He needs nothing more than his current car he already has, plugging into the technology, and now he can make money from this giant industry, the taxi industry, and he can fund, his friend's family and donate the money to his friend's family because of that. I mean, it's just a world of possibility that has never existed before. And in this one example alone, it's made Uber the most valuable startup in history. Uber was founded in 2009. We're talking 6 years, and they have reached a $50 billion valuation. I mean, that's just unprecedented. And you look at the entire taxi industry, it does $11 billion annually. In Uber, one company is worth $50 billion in 2009, from 2009 to 2015. So I hope that what you're seeing is that this disrupt and decentralized economy is just getting started, and that technology is making possible the sharing of wealth and the creation of wealth in all of these industries at a scale that the planet has never seen before. And we're seeing it in every industry. If you look at services, and this doesn't account for all services, but particularly web services, Elance and Odesk are valued at over $1 billion. Etsy, which just went public this year, actually, one of the most successful IPOs of this year, has created a decentralized technology for any sort of goods and service providers. So if you're an artistic, if you make artistic goods, you can go to Etsy, sell your goods through their platform, and they're worth over $3.5 billion right now. Kickstarter changed the name of the game when it comes to funding. All of a sudden, anybody with an idea can go get funding from anyone and their mom. Literally, it's everyone and their mom who's funding them, and they're worth over $200 million. Airbnb is worth over $25 billion. Uber is worth over $50 billion. So we call this the disrupt and decentralized economy. But what's important as an entrepreneur, what's important if you want to create impact and income in your life, is being able to predict where it's going next. And where it's going next, my friends, and what we're going to show you in tonight's presentation is energy. Because the biggest industry on planet Earth is about to be disrupted and decentralized. This is a $6 trillion annual industry that is absolutely ripe for disruption in every single way. And what we're going to show you tonight, the technology that we're going to show you tonight, has got whoever invited you here extraordinarily excited and created an enormous opportunity for impact and income. And Jim, I think this is a point that, you really made clear in our discussion, so you should probably hit it more for just why this whole combination, when it comes together in this way, has created, such game-changing opportunity for people.
Well, it's really important, when you kind of introduced what we had done at bamboo.com with the virtual tours, we started off with $42 million, and that was a good start to give us the ability to build the infrastructure so that anybody in the world could create a virtual tour of their home. Nowadays, that type of investment in the platform is being made by companies so that individuals, people like everyone who's on this call, can leverage that. So when you look at Uber, when you look at Airbnb, when you look at even Facebook, for example, you can consume content on Facebook, you can create content on Facebook. If you want to profit from Facebook, you're going to invest a little bit of money in the advertising side. Right? If you're going to profit on Uber, you need some kind of vehicle to move people around. If you're going to profit from Airbnb, you need to have a space to be able to rent to people. And so when Jonathan and I were talking about this mega trend that's happening of disrupt and decentralize, the key to all three of these examples, and the fourth one you're about to see, is that people plus the platform equals opportunity. Because these platforms are no longer being built so that a handful of people can be rewarded for the changes they're making. These platforms are being built so that everyone can be a part of the solution. And that is a major, major shift. And if you look at the next slide, Jonathan, I think what we're really talking about here is the understanding that these companies are being built by you. When you add your friends to Facebook, when you publish media, you are actually creating the content and you're creating the audience, which is the key to any kind of media. When you publish something to Pinterest, when you either take a ride or give a ride on Uber, these companies are being built by you. And the companies of the future are using technology platforms to allow people literally in the palm of our hands to have the power to change the way that business is done, to change the way that life is done, and to change the way that we do things on our planet. And I think that's really one of the core messages, and one of the reasons I got so excited about this is because we are leading into a new trillion-dollar opportunity for everybody who's on this call. So I love the fact that these are companies built by you and me, and anyone who's got a phone or a computer can start to become a part of this fourth trend that we're about to introduce you to.
And I think the important thing to consider when you're an entrepreneur and you're looking at how do I create impact and how do I create income, at the size of anything, at the scale of anything, I heard this phenomenal quote once, which is if you want to reach $1 trillion, you have to solve problems on a global scale that affect every human being. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about the new $1 trillion energy grid. And we're talking about solving problems on a global scale that affect every human being. And if we solve a problem this big and we decentralize an industry this big, the opportunity is so unlimited and so world-changing that I think it really takes a little while to fathom. And hopefully by the end of this presentation tonight, your eyes will be opened. You will see a possibility for your life and a possibility to create impact and income on a scale that you haven't maybe even imagined for yourself before. So before we get into that, I think it's important to sort of look at how we got where we are. And Jim, I think you might be appropriate to take people through this.
Sure. So we were kind of chatting about, well, how do we get to this fourth macro trend? And we want to take a look at the energy needs just as close back as the 1950s. If you think back to the 50s or 60s, our house and our lives were pretty simple. You needed energy for lighting and refrigerations, radio, and TV. That was pretty much it, right? If you fast forward to today, you start to recognize that we have exponentially grown our needs of energy. We've got lighting, our refrigerators, washing machines, radio, TVs, appliances, air conditioner, computers, and so many devices that we're plugging in, from iPhones to iPads. I mean, even here in our house, we've got multiple laptops, multiple desktops. We've got iPhones that are running energy. We've got iPads that are running energy. And now we're starting to plug electric cars into this same system. So the system that was built many years ago was not actually capable of doing what we need it to do today. This energy consumption, the amount of energy that every single one of us uses, I mean, even right now while you're on this webinar, you're probably watching it through your phone or your iPad or your computer or something, right? That's consuming energy. If you've got lights running in your house, if you've got an air conditioner, all of these things are drawing from a centralized grid. These power plants that were designed many decades ago were not prepared for all the devices that we now have today. And so we're plugging into a grid that was built decades ago, and all of these lines are going back to one source. That one source is the power plants. And you have to ask yourself, if you're human, how important is it for this source to not contaminate our most important asset, which, and I say our most important asset, let me clarify, I often share with people, if I was going to drop you in a desert for a couple of weeks, how long could you go without food? Well, you can go a couple of weeks without food. How long could you go without water? A couple of days. How long can you go without oxygen? A couple of minutes. So what's most important to our existence as a human with a body is oxygen. And yet the main source of our energy has been coming from dirty energy. It's been coming from coal and oil and gas. And so we built this big system to power these homes prior to all of the needs that we have. And unfortunately, about 33% of all the global carbon emissions are coming from coal. So our number one source for all electricity is coming from coal. And the unintended consequence is the CO2 levels have been cranking north. We have far surpassed what any scientist ever said was going to be safe. Not only do we surpass it, we continue to exponentially grow it. and this is where we're going to get to in the very near future, and we need to be aware of this, is that right now, if you look at the United States, we led this revolution. Right? If you think about it, the United States has always been the leader, especially of the industrial age. We're the ones who put all of this convenience into our lives. We're the ones who built these modern homes and these modern businesses, and the rest of the world is following us. Well, the population of the United States is 318.9 million. That is 1/8 of the population of China and India. And if you think about this for a moment, China and India have not even hit their consumption phase yet. So they are looking at us going, we want what the Americans have. We want modern homes. We want modern equipment. We want to have the latest in technology. And they deserve it. But guess what? If they follow the path that we followed, what do you think is going to happen to our planet? We're going to instantly go into a non-reversible or irreversible state. And this is one of the main reasons that when I talked to Jonathan about this and I looked at the company, I looked at what he was doing and his vision, his mission, I said, you know what? I'm 100% in alignment with this. You know, I'm currently the chairman of the board of the U.S. Green Chamber of Commerce, and I believe that through business, we can transform the world. And we need to recognize that this is not a future conversation. This is a now conversation. And I believe that what Jonathan has built here and the team at Powur is actually the solution to a very large problem. And when you can solve very large problems, you can have very big results. So Jonathan, take it away.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm just so inspired to step up and lead the way. And I think sometimes when you see the size of what we're up against, and that just spells it out so clearly, you know, a lot of people see the challenge, but frankly, I see the opportunity. And the opportunity here is nothing less than creating a new $1 trillion clean energy grid. And just like you said, you know, America really led the way with populating the world with all of its modern conveniences and appliances and a lot of its dirty energy. And guess what? We can lead the way towards renewables. We can be the ones to say, hey, you can have all of the things you want in a modern lifestyle, and you can do it from clean energy. And that's what we're so excited about, is that we are at the forefront, the preface of the greatest shift that any of us might have ever seen in our lifetimes, which is the shift from dirty to clean energy. And it's not just something we need to do for every generation that's going to walk after us. It's also the craziest entrepreneurial opportunity. It's also the craziest industry for all of us to be involved in that's going to create more income and more impact than I think anything we've ever done in our lives or even seen before. So the big question is, how do we solve this problem, right? So we've already sort of laid the case at this point that energy needs are growing exponentially. All of it's coming from centrally controlled dirty energy. It's wreaking havoc on our planet. So how do we solve this? And what we would like to propose is that we disrupt and we decentralize with the new energy paradigm. And if you look at what those paradigms are, what we're fundamentally talking about here is a commodity versus technology paradigm. Now, the old paradigm was commodities, right? Coal, oil, gas. What's inherent about commodities is that they're scarce. They're limited. There's only so many of them. And because of that, the price is constantly increasing. We have to go to deeper and deeper and deeper sort of levels of environmental destruction to get the oil out of the ground, to get the coal out of the ground. We're blowing up more mountains. We're doing all sort of stuff. And for what purpose? It's limited inherently. There's only so much of them. It's always going to get more expensive. And oh, by the way, it's destroying the planet. So that's the old paradigm. The new paradigm is technology. Why are we powering the world off commodities when we could power the world off technologies? Now, technologies are always improving. It's something called Moore's Law. They get better every single year, more efficient every single year. And so if you look at solar, solar is a technology to harness the energy of the sun, this inexhaustible source of energy in the sun, this giant fusion reactor in the sun that produces more energy than we could ever know what to do with. Solar is just a technology to harness that energy. And every single year, the cost of solar has come down, And parallel to the cost coming down, you've seen global installations skyrocket. And we're now at a point where truly solar is in a position where it's ready to scale mainstream. And we're going to talk about that in just one second. But this source that you're seeing right here is actually from Bloomberg's New Energy Finance. And what they're saying is that clean energy technology is the future, that these trends are here today, that the technology is here today, and that from this point forward, 2015 onward, you're going to see more of the new technology, the new generation capacity for energy coming online be renewable, and less and less and less and less be oil until fossil fuels are phased out altogether sometime in this century. And if we have anything to do with it, a lot sooner. By 2050 is really the goal that you hear from most credible scientists and experts say, you know, if we can really hit 2050, you know, we've got a good shot at making sure that we save the planet. So why is solar the leading clean energy technology today? And it really has to do with one thing and one thing only: economics. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the cost of solar has come down so much in recent years, and new financing vehicles have been invented so that it no longer costs any money to go solar. If you're a homeowner in the United States today and you live in one of our territories that we currently serve, and you have decent credit and enough sunshine on your roof, you can actually go solar for free. It's free to go solar. And every single month, instead of paying more for dirty electricity, you pay less for clean solar energy. So any roof with sunshine can produce its own clean power and save money every single month. And this is decentralizing energy production in a true sense. We're no longer depending on these giant utilities and, you know, mega corporations for how we get our energy. We can actually generate our own energy from our own rooftops for less than they can even sell it to us for, and for 100% clean. Now, this is just obviously the new paradigm. This is obviously an idea whose time has come, and that's why we're so excited to share the story of Powur with you tonight and show you how you can participate in creating massive income and massive impact by being part of this revolution. Now, if you look at an average neighborhood today, this is what you're going to see. You have about 2% of the current marketplace installed, which means 98% is ready to go or still to be installed. So over the next decade, it's estimated that 50 million homes in the U.S. alone that currently qualify for zero-down solar are going to go solar in the next decade. And we are seeing rapid accelerations. Just so far this year alone, we're on track to double what happened last year. Last year, 200,000 homes went solar. This year, over 400,000 homes are on track to go solar. In 2016, could see close to 1 million. And as we get into the later half of this decade, we're going to see millions and millions of homes going solar every single year. And so what we have done to tie all this together, my friends, is we have literally built the technology platform for the new power grid. So we want to introduce you tonight to Powur, which is allowing you, just like Uber, you know, shifted $50 billion in wealth, and Airbnb shifted enormous amounts of wealth from the hospitality industry to anybody who had a room to spare, and Facebook made it possible so that 1 billion people could be instantly connected and share whatever they had going on with their lives with each other. And YouTube made it possible for Coney to earn $600 million in earned media in 1 week from a viral video. What Powur is doing is making it possible for anybody to participate in building the new clean energy grid. So this is the ultimate opportunity to create income and impact, and that's what our technology does. And what I want to sort of preview tonight is what we have coming October 17th when we launch the new power grid. So right now, as I'm going to discuss in a little bit, we're currently in our stealth mode of rolling Powur out to the world. But as we enter into the next phases, we're going to be revealing and releasing some of our additional technology that's going to make possible a viral movement to spread clean energy across this country and really shift billions in wealth back to the people. And it is insanely simple to do. And I'm going to walk you through everything that Powur is tonight and how easy it actually is to be involved. So the first thing that you're going to do is, it's so simple. You just invite people to join the new grid. So right from within your back office, you can invite anybody to join the new power grid. Now, when somebody joins the new power grid, you can track it from the palm of your hand, and now they're in your grid. So everybody that you invite to join your grid is tracked to you forever. Everybody that they invite to join your grid is tracked to you forever. You're going to be able to see all of that from the palm of your hand. Now, it's even easier to invite people to go solar. So once you invite somebody to go solar, now anytime somebody goes solar for zero down throughout your entire grid, whether you invited them or somebody in your grid invited them or whatever it is, you have a chance to share and profit in the rewards. So you can now make money from the energy industry, which we're talking about $1 trillion shift of wealth here, from the palm of your hand. And it's so easy to track. Once you've invited somebody to go solar, you can track everything from the palm of your hand as they move through the entire process. Now, you don't have to actually do anything. We're not involved in sales or anything like that. We've partnered with the world's leading solar company, the #1 clean energy company on the planet, to help homeowners go solar for free. So all we are literally doing is inviting people to join the new grid and inviting people to go solar, and you can watch the progress happen from the palm of your hand. And as people are going solar and as people are joining your grid, you can see your income and impact from the palm of your hand. How much CO2 have you literally sequestered from the environment by the clean energy that you've spread? How much money have you made from the new power grid that we're building in the new era of clean energy? And again, all of this is tracked from the palm of your hand, and that's what Powur is. We have built the technology platform for the new energy grid, and we're so excited to be unveiling this and sharing this with many of you tonight for the first time, and building, you know, the leadership team to really take this technology to market. And I will tell you right now that our vision for this is millions and millions of people. And this is not just the United States, this is global. We have a global problem that needs global solutions. And the people that we've partnered with have the ability to go global. And we're starting in the United States, but this is expanding beyond there. And we envision millions and millions of people inside this power grid sharing the story of clean energy and sharing the story of the power grid with everyone they know. And the first company that we've partnered is a company you might have heard of before. It's called Solar City, and it was co-founded by Elon Musk, who is the visionary behind PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, some of the most game-changing companies on planet Earth. And this guy is honestly being likened to the greatest living inventor ever, okay, ever. He's surpassed Steve Jobs in terms of his level of innovation and game-changing companies that he's basically rolled out. And Jim, I don't know if you've got something you might want to say here, you know, just about sort of Tesla and Solar City in the future and what we've set up to this point, but I have a feeling like you do. Oh, whoops. Looks like your internet crashed. I just got a text from him. So I'm going to keep going. Jim got booted off the internet. So this is actually our first partner, but as you can see here, this is, no wait, I'll stay here for a second. It's important to really understand how significant this is. This isn't just, you know, some idea. You know, as a company at this point, we've invested millions of dollars in this technology. We've partnered with the most innovative entrepreneurs on planet Earth to do it. So when we say that we're getting ready to roll out a decentralized technology platform to spread clean energy ultimately across the globe, we're not kidding. And we've partnered with, you know, as Fast Company has said, the #2 most innovative energy company on the planet right now, the #9th most smartest company of 2015. Tesla is the world's most innovative company, period, which was listed by Forbes. So it's not like we're just, you know, making this stuff up. We're literally partnered with the most innovative entrepreneurs on planet Earth to roll this new technology out and spread clean energy across the country and shift billions of dollars in wealth back to the people who help us do it. So our goal is a viral movement to put solar on 2 million homes by 2025 and shift $1 billion in wealth to the socialpreneurs who help us build the new power grid. And as you can see here today, you are falling in phase 1 of this entire rollout. Now, phase 1, the goal of phase 1 is controlled growth. What we want to do right now is basically build the founding network. We want to build the founding entrepreneurs who are going to help us take this technology and take this concept to the marketplace. And, you know, in this sort of stealth phase, we're limiting growth. There's inherent restrictions. You know, you can only invite so many people. It's limited to who you are and sort of what you've done inside of Powur. And the purpose right now is we want to test things. We want to gain feedback. We want to develop an amazing culture, an amazing team to roll this out with. You know, we're in stealth phase, and we're in stealth phase for a reason. Now, come October 17th, at our launch event, which is taking place in San Diego, California, we are going to move into buzz phase. And from our launch event, we are launching the viral power grid. So the ability for anyone and everyone to share the story of the power grid from one touch on their phone and have this movement go viral is being launched October 17th. Now, we still don't want to head into the full-on viral phase because there's things that we're going to be finishing about our platform. There's more updates we're going to be making, changes we're going to be making. There's new tools we're rolling out, all sorts of things. So we're entering into buzz phase. We're going to start telling our story much louder, but we're still working out additional features of our platform that are going to allow us to really have all the tools and support and everything that we envision for everybody. And we anticipate that that will be done by January 1st, from which we will enter into full-on viral growth and a full-on rollout of our entire platform. And from there, we haven't put a timeline to this yet, but the next phase, once we enter full-on viral growth, spreading clean energy technology across the United States, is we go global. And in phase 4, that's the category creators. You see, we're not just building a power grid for clean energy. We're literally building a power grid to change how we produce energy and how we consume energy. So there's an entire world of products that is coming to change the way the world produces and consumes energy. Tesla, having an electric vehicle, smart appliances, appliances that literally know how much energy you're consuming and turn themselves off or on, like Google Nest, which can now manage your home's energy system. All sorts of energy efficient products that just literally consume way less energy. Washers, dryers, you know, microwaves, all these things that just flat out aren't going to consume as much energy as they once used to. And even the most game-changing of all, the Tesla Powerwall. Okay, this is literally a product that's going to change the face of the planet, where we no longer need the grid at all. Because once the Tesla Powerwall is at scale, what that means is homeowners can now store energy in their own battery. We can make energy from solar panels on our rooftops, store it in our own batteries, and literally power our homes day and night from sunshine, and we could cut the cord to the grid if we wanted to. We don't even need the grid. Now, all of this is coming. And when we enter phase 4 of the power grid, we're going to be delivering these products and services, and you have the chance to earn income and profit from all of it. Once you build a power grid today, you can monetize it forever. So we're incredibly excited to be at this phase of sharing our story. And in closing, what I want to sum up tonight is that everyone has a role to play. Everyone. We're all part of the problem. We all consume energy. Every time you turn on a light, every time you heat up your stove, every time you put gasoline in your car, guess what? You are dumping carbon into the atmosphere. We're all consuming energy. We all have a role to play in shifting the planet onto clean energy and off fossil fuels. So there's 3 ways that you and anyone can play, and we invite you to come play at whatever way is right for you. So the first, you can get in the grid. Become an advocate, get in the grid, join the grid, and tell everyone about Powur and tell everyone about our story. That's free, and you can go viral, build a grid, and tell everyone you know and be part of the solution. Number 2, if you're a homeowner, you can go solar. So as a homeowner, if you're in any of our states, which we currently cover over 70% of the U.S. population, you can go solar. It does not cost you a dime. You can sign a contract for free today. You can save money every month on your electric bill, and you can produce your own clean power. And number 3, you can partner up. We're looking for partners who really see the opportunity here, who really want to create extraordinary income and extraordinary impact. And as a partner, you're joining the Powur family, and you are literally helping us build a new power grid and rolling this out nationwide and ultimately globally, and helping us shift billions of dollars in wealth back to the people. So everyone, thank you so much for participating tonight in the new Powur story that we've continued to refine and share. We went a little bit over tonight, but I think that's okay, because we're going to keep getting better and better and better and refining things more and more and more. I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate all our partners who invited new guests here tonight. I encourage you to reach out to us. I'm available if anybody wants to hop on the phone and discuss this opportunity more. Get back to the person who referred you tonight, and come talk to some leadership at Powur. And we can't wait to lock arms with you and go build the new power grid hand in hand. So Jim, I don't know if you're back on the line, if your computer rebooted or not, but if you are or you aren't, thank you so much for your contribution and for everything you shared tonight, and look forward to meeting you guys at our October launch event. See you soon.